Hey all, it's Karen from Igniting Your Life, and today is April 6th, 2011. It is the 6th day of my crazy ass blogging challenge. In case you're wondering what this blogging challenge is about, it's my goal to bring you something useful, helpful, and worthwhile every day in April of 2011. If you're not sure why I would sign up, let alone lead this kind of bizarro challenge, I will post a link below the video so that you can see just what the heck I was thinking about when I signed up for this. Today I want to talk to you about failure and how failure is really just a way of gathering more information. Failure typically has this negative connotation. It's typically seen as you screwed up, you didn't do something right, you weren't very good at something. When in actual fact, failure is about gathering more information. So think about it. When you, let's take riding a bicycle, because it's simple and it's something that I would bet 99.9% of us have done. So when you're learning to ride a bicycle, chances are you started with training wheels and you figured out, okay, how to pedal, maybe a little bit about balance, but you've got training wheels, so not a whole lot, but you at least figured out how to pedal and hang on and sit on the seat. So you got some basic information, and then your parents took the training wheels off. And that's where you hadn't really learned that much about balance. Here's where you start to learn. Chances are you fell at least once, and probably more than once. And each time you fell, you got back up, you probably cried a little, probably had to get a couple band-aids here and there, but each time you fell, you got back up and you learned, okay, we lean a little less to the right or a little less to the left, or you lean more forward or more backwards. You started to pick up information every time you fell until you stopped falling. And then you were off, and that was the end. And that's probably the last time you really ever thought about riding a bike. But failure is exactly the same, and I don't care what kind of failure we're talking about here. It could be in your job, could be relationships, it could be a hobby, it could be anything. It's all the same. Each time you fail, you pick up new information. And the next time you do that, you apply that information you learned. So failure has this very negative connotation around it, and it sounds very bad. And, you know, particularly if you're at a job or something that feels very important, you don't want to fail because something bad might happen. Well, I'm going to leave what I think should not happen and what should happen for another discussion. But remember that each time you fail, you're learning something. You're learning a piece of information that you didn't have before you made an attempt. So in many cases, if you never fail at something, it's probably because you've never tried anything. And anyone who tries, it inevitably fails. You just cannot live without failing, okay? And so I don't want you to stop trying because you're afraid of failing. Then you're not living, you're not doing anything, you're certainly not trying anything new, and you're not getting any further in life. You're just doing the same old. And eventually, that's not any fun, and it doesn't get you anywhere. So the next time that you're failing, try to remember, try to put a positive spin on it. And it's not a false positive. It is not a false positive. You're putting a better spin on it because it's true. Okay? It's not even like you're lying to yourself. You really are learning something. And you just need to apply that information. And chances are, if it's a big enough failure, you are going to apply that information. And if it's important to you enough, you're going to remember. And you're going to go forward with this new information. And guess what? You might have failed and learned something, and then you try again, and you might fail again. It might happen. You might fail 4 times before you get this right. But eventually you will get it right. You will find something that succeeds and that works. And failure, everybody has this, everybody's terrified of it. Like it's this great big thing. And so do I. So I'm not, preaching from my glass house here. I'm with you. I have this extreme fear of failure sometimes. And the more important it is to me, the more I'm afraid that I'm going to fail. But there's a difference between failing because of information you didn't have and information that you did have. Okay, failing because of information you did have and didn't use, it's called laziness. Been there, done that. It's called laziness. It's called screwing up. There's a lot of other words that I could use to describe it, but we're going to leave it with screwing up. Okay? But if you're failing, you're gaining information, okay? You're not screwing up, you're learning something. So just remember that the next time you go to take a chance and you pull back because you're afraid of failing, remember this because it's a really positive thing, actually. So this came about because I was listening to a Blogcast FM podcast. I'm kind of mildly obsessed with them. So I'm going to put a link because David Walsh talks about this concept in one of the podcasts. And apparently it comes from neuro-linguistic programming, NLP for short, and for those that are speaking challenged. It's a concept that he talked about, and it really resonated with me, and perhaps it was timing and all of that, but it hit home with me when I heard about it. So listen to the piece of the podcast. The whole podcast may not actually be relevant to you. However, if you are a blogger, I would suggest continuing and listening to the rest of that podcast. But really, it's just that little piece that at the moment is really speaking to me on a level that I think is interesting to you. So check it out. The link is at the bottom of the video underneath. And let me know what your thoughts about failure are. Let me know how you feel about that and where it's going. Okay? It's Karen from Igniting Your Life, and I will talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye.